Burns got his nickname because he was a doer. From his days delivering votes as a ward leader for old Tommy D'Alessandro to forging compromises as a councilman. As with most politicians, he's made friends and enemies along the way. For more on that, here's political reporter Frank DiFilippo.
He was a doer. He really was. The nickname was well earned.
He's a good model.
A person who helped us to reach across boundaries of race, for example, and form coalitions.
Rags to riches. That guy went from the bottom to the top.
Already, the Dew Burns story is the stuff of legend. Dew Burns rose to political prominence in the late 1960s. He aligned his East Side Democratic Organization with the breakaway New Democratic Club of Walter Orlinsky when it split from the Mount Royal Democratic Club. Black-white coalition politics was born in Baltimore.
After that, it was easy to, as the Mount Royal Club began to disintegrate, at least temporarily, it was easy to work out with Dew a coalition with the New Democratic Club. We knew they could deliver. They knew we could deliver. They understood that our people would not respond racially.
Dew Burns' close associate was former Senator Robert Douglas, who was elected to city council with the help of the coalition.
With the two rump outfits, we decided to go together, and it wound up it turned out to be a very, very good coalition for both sides of the district.
Dew Burns himself was elected to the city council in 1971 and went on to become its president when Orlinsky ran afoul of the law. But coalition politics couldn't last forever. It began to fall apart when Senator Nathan Irby defeated Douglas in the 1982 Senate race.
I've never had really a difference of opinion with Dew on many matters. I did have a violent disagreement with Bob Douglas.
I can't understand. I've never known that he had a problem with me.
The coalition finally broke up in 1983 when Mary Pat Clark challenged Dew Burns for city council president, an office she lost then but won the nomination for in September.
Ultimately, when Mary Pat Clark decided to run against Dew Burns, that's when it really came apart at the seams.
But Nathan was the first to walk, and I supported him in that effort.
There are those who believe that if Dew Burns had healed his grudge with Irby, he would have been elected mayor.
Probably the dumbest thing he ever did politically. He ran McFadden against Irby, spent a lot of money, and lost.
I think that's probably accurate.
And what about Dew Burns' lasting contributions to Baltimore politics?
Dew's ability to make people confront themselves probably was his strongest suit.
He's my kind of guy. He's a good street guy. I consider myself a good street guy.
I think we did very, very well, including the fact that he wound up being the first black mayor of Baltimore City.
I will think of him as setting the stage for what has evolved today in Baltimore.
The thing that came through was his knowledge of what the city government was all about.
I am a beneficiary of a lot of work that he and people in his generation did.
So, Frank, how do you think Dew Burns will be remembered in the history books?
First, the obvious, Sally. Dew Burns was Baltimore's first black mayor, and that's a pretty big footnote in itself. But beyond that, I think he'll be remembered as a man who surprised a lot of people. Expectations were low, and he came in and showed some great decision-making power and made some crucial decisions at a time when a lot of problems were dumped on him by William Donald Schaefer.
What's your fondest personal memory of Dew?
Well, Dew was a human being above all else, and I think he was great fun to cover. He always had a smart alecky remark for you. Despite his temper tantrums with the press in the final days of the campaign, he really liked reporters. He really loved being around them. And I think the humanity of Dew Burns is what all of us will remember.
Thanks, Frank. Next, we'll talk with the man himself. A conversation with Dew next.